wife and daughter went to visit her sister for the weekend. I stayed home to catch up on paperwork. I've always hated the guest room at the end of the hall. Feels colder than the rest of the house. That Friday night, I woke up to the sound of a child giggling in there. My daughter was gone. I checked anyway. Empty. Saturday, the giggling turned to whispering conversations. 2 voices. One sounded like my wife, the other like me, arguing about money, about how much better life would be without the kid. I recorded it through the door. When I played it back, it was just static, but the argument continued inside the room. I opened the door. The bed was made, but the mirror had handprints all over it, small ones. I smashed the mirror. I don't know why, but I did. A wave of nausea and overwhelming sadness hit me, and I felt like I was naked in a room with eyes watching me. I instantly ran out of the room. This was my first time experiencing something like that. I didn't believe in anything paranormal. My wife admitted later she'd felt watched in that room for years but didn't want to scare me. The house was built on an old orphanage site. The realtor never told us. We moved 2 months later. I still stay home alone sometimes, and nothing happened ever since. My parents drove to my grandma's funeral in another state. 4 days. Ethan, you're old enough. No parties, no friends over. We trust you. They left on a Wednesday. The house was quiet except for the furnace kicking on every hour. That first night I played video games until 2 a.m. and crashed. Nothing out of the ordinary. It was kinda fun though. Staying home alone. I don't want to bore you with the details. Thursday night the power flickered during a storm. When it came back, the basement furnace started making this low, rhythmic sound, like someone humming a tune I half recognized. I thought it was my ears playing tricks on me. I ignored it until I went down to grab a soda and heard whispering. I paused. I heard it again. That was when I panicked. I ran upstairs, locked my door, and slept with the lights on. It wasn't really a good night's sleep. My heart raced, but I managed to fall asleep. Friday, the humming continued from the basement and even grew louder. I panicked again and tried to call the cops, but my phone wouldn't turn on. At this point, I was all sweaty and, of course, my heart felt like it'd jump out of my chest. It was like someone was down there. I could clearly hear objects shifting and moving in the basement. All of a sudden, the furnace shut off completely. I didn't hear anything again down there. My phone was still not turning on. Then every door in the house slammed shut at once. That was when I started screaming, hoping the neighbors would come to my rescue or something. I barricaded myself in the bathroom. Through the vent, I heard footsteps dragging across the basement floor, coming up the stairs, stopping right outside the bathroom door. My hand was covering my mouth. I didn't want my breathing to make a sound. My phone still wouldn't turn on. Then after what felt like hours, the footsteps receded. It wasn't back to the basement or anything. The footsteps just kinda like sounded distant with every step. I fell asleep in the bathroom. Saturday, I went to stay with a friend of mine. When my parents got home Sunday, and I explained to them, there was no conclusive evidence that anything happened at all. The furnace was normal. The HVAC guy they called later found human hair and fingernail clippings jammed deep in the vents. Not mine. The house had been empty for years before we moved in. Till today, I still can't really understand what happened that night, but I never stay home alone again. I still hear the humming some nights when the heat comes on. This time more of my imagination than actual humming. I sleep with earplugs on. My name is Lena. I'm a 27-year-old freelance writer and I live with my boyfriend, Daniel, in a high-rise apartment in the city. On August 15th, Daniel went on a work trip. I was alone in our 14th floor apartment with strict instructions to water the plants and not burn the place down. City nights are never truly quiet, but around 1 a.m., I noticed the motion light on our small balcony flicking on and off. I didn't pay attention at first because I was busy on my laptop. When the flickering continued, I checked. Nothing. Then it stayed on. I saw the outline of a person standing on the balcony railing of the empty unit next door. Just standing there, facing my glass doors. This figure stood perfectly still, in an eerie manner. I mean, how does someone stand perfectly still? The unit was empty, so I called building security. They said no one had access. The figure didn't move for 20 minutes. Then it stepped forward. I couldn't tell if the person was looking at me, but they were looking in my general direction. I called building security again, but they were useless. I called my boyfriend, but I couldn't reach him. The light went off. I didn't see the figure again. It felt like a weird encounter. But I wasn't scared. It just felt very weird. The next day, August 16th, when Dan called, I told him about it. He didn't think I was in any danger, he just felt concerned. Throughout that day, all I did was eat and work. I didn't really think much of what happened the previous night. At around 1:40 a.m. on August 17th, I could hear tapping sounds on the sliding door in the balcony. I froze in bed. I listened as again, the tapping continued. I took my phone and called the police and told them there was an intruder in my house. I sat at the edge of the bed. My heart was racing. I checked my phone 1:46 a.m. Who would be on my balcony at 1:46 in the morning? Call me stupid, but I went to check who was at the balcony. The idea of the police being on their way gave me confidence. Now on my balcony, I could see a pale face pressed against the glass. I couldn't make out the face, but they were smiling. I hid in the bedroom and heard the sliding door rattle like someone testing the lock. Then tapping. Just as the police sirens drew closer, the tapping stopped. When the police came, I told them about the person on my balcony, and I recalled seeing a figure at the balcony of the empty unit next door. Scratched into the condensation was, "Hello." Maintenance found a crawlspace access panel pried open between our units. Inside were sleeping bags, water bottles, and dozens of printed photos of me sleeping. Whoever it was had been squatting there for weeks, using the empty neighboring apartment as a base. I was grossed out that some creep had been stalking me and even had printed photos of me sleeping. Police caught him too, days later trying to re-enter the building. He told them he'd been practicing crossing between balconies at night. He still had my spare key in his pocket, the one I kept in the kitchen drawer. How he had got it, I didn't know, and the thought of how long he must have been watching me gave me shivers. We still live in that apartment and nothing like that happened ever since. New neighbors had since moved into the empty unit. Sometimes, when I look out the balcony, I still expect to see that figure at that balcony. At the time of writing this, it's been almost 2 years since that incident. I never stayed home alone since. My parents were away visiting with my little brother. I stayed to work my gas station shift. I wasn't really a people person, so that was also my excuse not to go with them. After closing at midnight, my car wouldn't start. I did everything I could, but it just won't work. I concluded maybe it was dead battery or something. I called a tow, but it was going to be hours. I didn't have hours, unless I was tired and needed to get home and get comfortable. A regular customer, older guy named Ray, asked where I lived. I told him. He said he was headed that way too and offered to drive me the 5 miles home. I knew him from the station. We didn't talk much, but I knew he was seeing one of the other attendants at the station. He seemed harmless and I need the ride, so I obliged. Big mistake. He dropped me off and then asked to use the bathroom quick. I let him. It was the least I could do. Once inside, he started acting kinda weird, complimenting how mature I looked and how beautiful the house was. He was asking if I was the only one at home and where my family was exactly. I was beginning to feel a bit creeped out. I remember briefly planning a self-defense strategy in case he was gay or something. I got him out, locked the doors, and crashed on the couch watching Dexter. I got up to do us a mitch and his truck caught my eye. Parked down the road with lights off. I thought maybe his truck broke down or something, but it was somehow unsettling, but I wasn't scared or anything. I strained my eyes. He wasn't anywhere near the truck, so I felt maybe it really broke down and he went to get help. But get help how? Anyways, I didn't think much of it and I went to sleep. I stay upstairs and from my room I could see our back door. Sometime during midnight, he came back on foot. I picked up my phone. It was 3:30 in the morning. I felt scared and angry at the same time. He tried the back door, then the windows. I called 911, but cell service was spotty that night, but I was able to get my message through. I picked up my dad's old baseball bat and went downstairs to confront him. I didn't go out to meet him though. I just brandished the baseball bat. He was staring at me through the window. He talked through the glass, mostly gibberish. I couldn't make out anything he said. When the cops finally showed, he was gone, but he'd left tire tracks and a crowbar by the shed. I told the cops who he was and how he had offered me a ride. Turns out Ray had a criminal record, but he never broke into homes. But I personally don't think he wanted to steal anything. He was most probably a pervert. The idea of a pervert taking interest in me still gives me the chills when I think of it. I later found out my car breakdown wasn't random, it had been messed with at the station earlier that day. This happened in 2017. I was just 15 then. My folks left for a work conference Friday morning on June 23rd, 2017, 3 full days. Order whatever you want, just don't open the door to strangers. Ring camera is on. They said to me before they left. My dad gave me one of his debit cards. I was thrilled to have the house to myself. I played video games and ate a ton of junk. It was very fun actually. The first night was chill. I played basketball in the driveway until it was very dark. I ordered pizza way more than I could eat and locked up tight. I played video games till I slept off on the couch. It was Saturday afternoon and IDQ invited my friend, Reese, over to play video games. Sometime between 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. Some guy in a brown uniform with a big box. I watched on the Ring app. He looked legit, even had the company logo. He knocked, said it was for my dad, and that it was urgent. My dad didn't tell me about any delivery, so I just told him to leave it on the porch. He did, but then started asking through the door if I was home alone, saying the box was heavy and maybe I needed help inside. My mind was on the video games I was playing. I didn't answer. I felt however heavy it was, I'd lift it with Reese. I went back to playing video games. He left. I didn't really pay attention when Reese left, but that night around 11 when I remembered the box and checked the Ring app, the box was gone from the porch. Maybe he took it with him, I thought. I tried calling my parents. I couldn't reach either of them. When I was about going to bed, I checked the front door, still locked. But the side gate was open. A wave of panic hit me. Reese had left through the front door, and now the side gate was opened. I was defenseless. It's kinda crazy when I think about it now, but I carried a crutch as my defense weapon. I took my phone and called my uncle who lives 20 minutes away. While on the phone, I heard movement in the garage, like tools being shifted. From the camera, I saw what made my blood run cold. The delivery guy from earlier was in the garage. The driver had possibly used the delivery as cover to scope the place earlier. I hurriedly told my uncle I needed help. I ended the call with him immediately and then called 911. I was visibly shaking and my hand could barely hold my phone. The driver had slipped the side gate latch during the drop-off. I was still watching him through the camera. When the police came, as expected, he had taken off. Police later found his van 2 blocks over with my mom's jewelry, dad's laptop, and a notebook listing weird stuff as I was told. I never got to see it. He'd apparently been watching the neighborhood for weeks, using fake deliveries. They caught him after he tried the same thing in another place. I felt immense relief knowing he was behind bars and he would be for a long time. I still stay home alone today, but I still get suspicious when I get deliveries. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on notifications for more videos like this. Which story was the scariest? Let me know in the comments below.